We are only in the month of February, and the video game rumor mill has been working overtime when it comes to the world of video games in 2019. But obviously, one of the big stories that's been going around is this potential Microsoft and Nintendo partnership going on in 2019 and beyond. And there's been a lot of speculation. We, of course, have made a video talking about the potential of Xbox Live coming to the Nintendo Switch. And since then, we've actually gotten more information. There's been more leaks, more rumors, more speculation about what this Microsoft and Nintendo partnership is going to be like, and it sounds very, very interesting. So in this video, I basically want to chronicleize what has happened so far, what the new rumor announcements are, and what I think of them. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, check the pinned comment in the comment section down below to have a chance to win some eShop gift cards, and let's talk about this crazy Nintendo and Microsoft partnership and whether or not Game Pass is actually coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! So basically in this video, I want to go over the timeline of events and rumors and speculation that we have gotten so far with this Microsoft and Nintendo partnership. And then of course talk about what I think about the latest information, how true I think it is, and what could potentially come from this partnership. Now, if you watch my Xbox Live coming to Nintendo Switch video, I am going to cross-reference some things from that video. So make sure you check out that video first before checking out the rest of this video, or just check out that video after this. I don't really care, but watch that video because it was pretty good. But basically, this whole thing is starting from a GDC listing, which is Game Developers Conference 2019, which is taking place at the end of March. Now, in this listing from Microsoft, it was said that Xbox Live was going to be expanding to different devices such as iOS, potentially Android, and the Nintendo Switch. And a lot of people got in a bit of a tizzy over this, myself included. Like, Xbox Live on all these platforms, it sounded absolutely crazy. Well, after that announcement, a lot of people started speculating on what was going on. And then, of course, Liam Robertson chimed in and basically said that he's heard some very interesting things about this Microsoft and Nintendo partnership, but he didn't really elaborate on that. Now, if you're not familiar with who Liam is, Liam was basically a part of Unseen 64, which is a great website that talks about prototype games, canceled games, and he does his own investigative work as well on his own personal YouTube channel, talking about speculation and different things going on. I highly suggest you check out his channel. We also had a senior editor over at Game Informer basically say that a dead and buried game was being resurrected by Nintendo, and a lot of people, myself included, felt that it could potentially be Scalebound. Now, Scalebound, of course, is a Microsoft property, so this would have to be purchased by Nintendo, at least in some degree, but it looks like that Scalebound IP has actually been abandoned by Microsoft. And now, the fact that this was a Platinum Games game, and Platinum Games and Nintendo pretty much get along very well with games like Bayonetta, Bayonetta 2, and Astral Chain, and of course, Bayonetta 3, it seems like that could potentially be the game. But then we got a huge announcement yesterday from Nate from Direct Feed Games. Now, Nate might not be a household name, but if you've watched the Spawncast, you should be familiar with who Nate is. And Nate likes to do a lot of gameplay footage and things like that, but now he's starting to get more into the news stuff. And Nate broke this story yesterday, basically talking about how Xbox Game Pass was potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch, along with Xbox One first-party games such as Ori coming to the Nintendo Switch natively. And a lot of people got in a bit of a tizzy over this. A lot of people were like, how could this be? Who is this guy? What does he know? Now, what's interesting about this story is since then, a lot of major websites and a lot of major YouTubers have actually corroborated what Nate was talking about. You have Game Informer coming out reporting on it. You have a lot of major websites who don't usually touch rumors, especially from a YouTuber talking about this story, saying that they have heard similar things from this as well. And then today we had a French website that is very popular come out and say that Ori and the Blind Forest and potentially Cuphead could be coming natively to the Nintendo Switch, and that Games Pass was a thing that was potentially being worked on with Microsoft and Nintendo. So obviously there's a lot of information to digest here. There's a lot of things to talk about, and really we have to start at the core of this, which is the Microsoft and Nintendo partnership, because they are not strangers when it comes to the world of video games. Of course, if you log on to your Minecraft on Nintendo Switch, you are logging on to Xbox Live, and you can use achievements and get achievements for your Xbox Live account on your Nintendo Switch. Of course, we've seen cross-platform play with games like Rocket League and Fortnite on the Nintendo Switch between Nintendo and Microsoft. There, of course, was Diddy Kong Racing DS, which was a game that came out on the DS after Microsoft had purchased Rare, and Microsoft allowed Rare to give that game to Nintendo. They just had to remove characters like Banjo and, of course, Conker from that version of the game. But it's not like Microsoft and Nintendo don't work together, because they obviously do. Microsoft is an interesting company. I think they've changed a lot since the original Xbox and Xbox 360 days with the Xbox One. I think it sort of changed their vision on how they are going to do video games in the future. So Games Pass coming to the Nintendo Switch is definitely a potential. It's definitely something that I could see happening. Now, will it be the full version of Games Pass that is currently available on Xbox One? That might be a little bit tricky, because there's obviously a lot of licensing that goes into that. Some of these games are Xbox 360 games as well, so I'm not quite sure how the licensing would work for that, but I do think that there will be a version of Xbox Games Pass on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself. How would that actually work? Because with Xbox Games Pass, you don't stream the games, you download the games onto your Xbox One, and many of these games are huge games, and they take up a lot of hard drive space, and obviously the Nintendo Switch only has 32 gigs of memory built into it, and you have to use things like SD cards. Well, a lot of this is dependent on the xCloud service, which is basically Microsoft's streaming service, and basically it looks like how this is going to work is these games are going to stream from Games Pass onto your Nintendo Switch. Now, of course, game streaming on the Nintendo Switch is not something that's necessarily new. Both Capcom and Ubisoft have done things in Japan with games streaming on the Nintendo Switch. Of course, Capcom did Resident Evil 7 in Japan, and Ubisoft did Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it seemed like those seemed to work well enough, especially in Japan. If you lived in the States, unfortunately, you couldn't download those games, even though I tried to, but it seemed like it worked well enough in Japan. And of course, game streaming is sort of the future of gaming, whether I like it or not. Obviously, I like to collect video games. I like physical copies of video games for preservation purposes, and of course, just to be able to play these games whenever I want. To say that game streaming isn't going to be a main thing in video gaming in 2019 and beyond is honestly pretty silly. There are rumors that Microsoft is working on a streaming-only console this generation, one of the 3 different consoles that they could be working on for the current or the future generation of their systems, the systems that supersede the Xbox One. So it's not outside the realm of possibility for game streaming to become a mainstream thing. Of course, there have been services over the years that really rely on game streaming. PlayStation Now is a game streaming service. Now you can download things on your PlayStation 4 if you want to play them natively, but PlayStation Now is pretty much built on game streaming. Even going back to like 2014, OnLive was a game streaming service that allowed you to play AAA games on any sort of device. I was playing games like Batman Arkham City on my crappy netbook that was a $200 netbook that could barely run Windows competently, and I was able to play games via a streaming service. So streaming is obviously the future of gaming, at least in some regard, and with many people having high-speed internet, it's becoming more and more prevalent in many areas. Now, of course, I don't think we're quite at the point where game streaming is going to be the normal thing, because there are still a lot of rural areas that do not have high-speed internet, or just people who don't have high-speed internet in general in the United States, but it's definitely something that's coming along. Now, the real question is, why would Microsoft want to put Games Pass on a Nintendo device? Why would Games Pass be on the Nintendo Switch? How would this benefit Microsoft? Well, like I said earlier, I really feel like Microsoft has sort of shifted their mentality when it comes to video games, especially during the Xbox One generation. I don't think they're quite as concerned about selling hardware anymore as they are selling subscription services, because when you sell a piece of hardware, you get that initial money and then that's it. But with a subscription service, you're constantly getting streams of revenue in. Microsoft's games division does well, but it's one of the weaker areas of Microsoft in general. So investors are always looking for ways to improve that division. And I think things like Games Pass and Xbox Live have actually really helped out Microsoft in terms of their gaming division. Games Pass has been a runaway hit. It's one of my favorite things on the Xbox One. So putting Games Pass on another device like the Nintendo Switch that's very popular in Japan, where Microsoft has no foothold in, it's going to get Microsoft's name out there in Japan. It's going to get Microsoft in front of more people's eyes. And of course, it'll put more money in their pockets. Now, it does seem like Nintendo probably benefits a little bit more from this partnership. Having games like Ori and Cuphead potentially come natively to the Nintendo Switch. And of course, all of the third-party games that are available on Games Pass that could potentially not run on the Nintendo Switch to begin with, it really makes things a lot easier for game developers and for Nintendo to get some of these bigger games that people maybe want to check out, but they only own a Nintendo Nintendo Switch, and these games maybe can't run natively on the system without a lot of downscaling, it really helps Nintendo out as well. So Microsoft is going to benefit from this in a monetary standpoint, and of course expanding their brand. Nintendo's going to benefit from this because there's going to be more games on their system via Games Pass. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a one-to-one version of Games Pass on the system. I think some games will be omitted, but there's even rumors that potentially a game like Gears or Halo will be coming to the Nintendo Switch as well that could potentially be running natively on the system. Microsoft doesn't really care about the hardware sales anymore. When was the last time you heard them talk about Xbox One system sales? They don't really care. They're more interested in how many people are playing on their platform, how many people are playing via Games Pass, how many people are playing via Xbox Live. So honestly, this is a perfect partnership. I definitely think Games Pass is coming to the Nintendo Switch. I definitely think Microsoft is trying to expand their brand. There's still going to be Microsoft systems, but I think they're more concerned with game services. I think they're more concerned with this constant stream of revenue through subscription services, more so than just the initial hardware sale of these video games. All I know is Game Developers Conference 2019 is probably going to be very interesting, but E3 2019 is probably going to be even more batshit crazy with all of these crazy announcements going on. We're only in the month of February, folks, and we're already talking about things like Games Pass coming to the Nintendo Switch. So let me know in the comment section down below if you foresee Games Pass coming to the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, there's a lot of smoke with this rumor, and I'm always saying where there's smoke, there's fire, and I think there's a big fire brewing between Nintendo and Microsoft that's going to make the rest of the year very, very interesting. And as always, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Like I said at the start of this video, check out the pinned comment in the comment section down below and enter to win a chance to win some cool eShop gift cards that I'm giving away. I'm giving away a $100 card, a $50 card, and a $20 card. You got 3 chances to win, so go ahead and enter. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.